Modding, kababayan. Could you hear me? Uh, just a moment ago? I saw you come in. ¿Cómo está? Kamusta ka na? Are you still there, modding? Well, Helen from Kenya, you can come back if you saw me come back. What's up, guys, gals? Come on in. Come in, come in. Come one, come all. Come see Jojo the duck-faced boy. He neither eats nor sleeps nor crawls nor creeps. He's 15 inches across the eyes and smells like a wolf. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Come in, come in. Stop scrolling. Come on in. OMG. I just poured coffee all down the front of me. Did you see that? Holy moly. Stand by. Hold on. Mr. Rogers! What's going on? Little Nate, Oilers in 7. Did you see me pour coffee all down my face and my shirt? Hold on. I just poured hot coffee down my cheek and my shirt. What's up, guys? Little Nate, Mr. Rogers. Where are you guys from? Or where are you currently located? Because where I'm from and where I'm at are two different locations. Audrey! Scotland? No way, really. Well, you notice my last name? What origin is that? The MacKay clan. Thank you very much. I have not been to Scotland, though, yet. And I have some relatives, per se, in Edinburgh. Um, more specifically, Kilwinnie, I think. Um, I Doc is the name United States Marines call their medics, whether they are actually a doctor or not. Everybody in the medical field is referred to as Doc by the United States Marine Corps. No, I was in Iraq 2004, 2005, and yes, I'm a veteran. Hoorah! 5th Battalion, what, 2-5 Marines? What? What do you mean, Under Sergeant Chuck Anako? Who was your commanding officer? Frango? Ah, you are. Imagine that. Well, usually you're either from Edinburgh or um, the other, the other big city. Hey, Senior, you think it's secure? The Russians think you. Robert, just a few. I was only there one tour for 7 months, and it was actually a very quiet. It was the most boring camp out of my life, interrupted by moments of chaos. But I can tell a few stories. I've been telling them in my prior live streams, the last two. But hold that thought. I'll be telling one story or another from the civilian world or the military. You're Afghan, 2012 brag, airborne babies, 82nd. Awesome. Oh, 1112, you said. Kasbah. Well, thank you for finding me. Yeah, we can share war stories. Um, Give me that. Awesome. Yeah. Well, it's been on my bucket list for many, many, many years. Ever since my late grandfather from Edinburgh uh, used to tell me about Scotland and the fair-skinned lassies, dark-haired, fair-skinned lassies. He called me Geddy. I loved his Scottish brogue. I wish I had known him when I was an adult, but he died before. Cloud Clan. Awesome. MacKay. MacKay myself. That's the original spelling and pronunciation. Today it's MacKay. Awesome, Casbah. Beautiful. Well, give me that. Just to let you know, my invitation is out for anybody that has um, military medical background, and I'd love to interview you guys. My email is in my description at the top of my YouTube page. Just open up the description and scroll down. There should be a link for my email, and drop me a line and let me know if you're available to be interviewed. And we can do format just like this, but we'll do it off the air. Like uh, cam to cam, and then after we shoot the bull and tell stories, I will edit it and turn it into a YouTube feature, and then I'll post it. So we won't be live on the air to the millions like I am now. It'll be one-on-one. We'll do an interview and then I'll edit it, and then, if that makes sense. But yeah, drop me an email and we'll set something up. Lamar, what's up, bro? I'm originally from San Diego, California, Casbah, and I'm currently in New Jersey. Don't ask what I'm doing in New Jersey. Life events brought me. Actually, Iraq was the catalyst for bringing me back to the East Coast. My wife's family is in the area, and she came back here while I was in Iraq because she had nobody in California. That's where we were living when I got deployed. So she came back to be with her family, and while I was in Iraq, and then when I demobilized at June, they changed my orders and sent me to Philadelphia, where I reunited with my wife, and that was how I ended up here. What does it say? I'm going to find you and punch you. What's up, Yarg? Bad day? Ryland! Angela Catalano, you're back, Angela. Angela, where are you again? Sorry, I forgot. Are you in California? Thanks, Rylan. Appreciate it. Yeah, hang around if you have some time, and I'll shoot the bull with you guys and tell a story, I hope. I hear most people left Cali now due to the inflation, rise in homelessness. You've been watching a lot of the media. But, what's new? America. Oh, well, that narrows it down, Angela. Let me turn the music down a bit. Just to comment on your inflation and homelessness. Remember here, I'm gonna say something that Air Force. No, right there, United States Navy. Um, yeah, I'm gonna comment on your homelessness and inflation. First of all, California's always an expensive state. I think ever since I was old enough to know better, and it's always the rumor's always been that California has a high cost of living. And number two, homelessness. Homelessness has been a problem everywhere, anywhere you go. The media is just run with it, and it may be more so now, but what's new? Number three, remember the population of the United States is approximately 370 million people. That's 6 zeros after 370. So what the media feeds you guys, think about it. What the media represents out of 370 and 6 zeros after it, people in the United States, what percentage do you think the media actually covers of homelessness, inflation, etc., as a nation? Think about that. At the most, what? Let me give an example. President Trump, or I'm going to call him President Trump. I can use my president no matter what. But President Trump was down in Wildwood, New Jersey, about 30 miles south of me. You heard about this. And there was what? They guesstimated 100,000 people there to listen to him speak. What percentage is 100,000 of 370 million? That's 9 places. And 100,000 is only 6 places. We're talking about a microscopic grain of sand, not even visible to the human eye, are the media representing out of 370 million people. Make sense? So I hope that kind of puts it in a little different perspective as to, is that true? Well, it's probably true that there is homelessness and inflation, but what percent of California? Do you know how big California is? If you didn't know, California, you could Google it. It's approximately 1,300 miles from north to south and 300 miles wide, 1,300 miles long and 300 miles wide. Again, what percentage of that humongous state is suffering from homelessness and inflation, like the media portrays it? Right? San Francisco's always been tragic. Yeah. So anyways, be careful what you know, how the media portrays what's going on in this world. No MOS in the Navy, Peter. Navy corpsman, if you want to put that, if you want to laterally define MOS in the Navy. It's my rate. Navy has rates, not an MOS. I am not monetized, MK. That's why. It automatically sets it up for you when you become monetized. No, I'm not. I'm a Navy corpsman. And if you didn't know, Lamar, Navy corpsmen provide medical support for the United States Marine Corps. Hence why I'm wearing a Marine Corps cover with a Navy emblem on the front of it. But if you would like to, MK, I have I think buy me a coffee. I'm pointing up at the top of my YouTube channel. And there's a PayPal account there. And if you are willing or wanting to donate, you can donate there just as well as Super Chat. As a matter of fact, YouTube, if you didn't already know this, yeah, that was me, Motzi Great, Petty Officer Second Class, or E5 equivalent to the other branches. What I was saying was YouTube gets 30% of your Super Chat that you donate on those channels that are monetized. Excuse me. I would get 70%. YouTube gets 30%. Okay? But if you donate through Super Chat, I get 100%. Or minus $1.99 or whatever it is they charge if it's etc. I heard New Jersey is full of angry black people. Oh my gosh. That's quite a the S's. Hey, welcome back. Hey, you know what, S's? Let me tell you something. And I just want to put it out there. Wasn't it you? The S's? Or maybe it wasn't you. You said you were 12, I think. Was that you that revealed your age at the end of the live stream last time? Hey, watch the comments, Casbah. I mean, we don't need to go off track. Yeah, well, anyways, I actually was looking online and trying to find an answer to my question, and that is, whether or not you should be live streaming or participating in a live stream. And I couldn't find anything. I was actually going to email YouTube and ask them, because here's the problem, young lady, I think you said you were a girl, is, I'm an adult, and, minors get us adults in trouble, whether it's physically or online. And that's why they have age requirements for YouTube, is to prevent that confrontation. And sorry about that. Yeah, so only thing I could find was how old you have to be in order to actually do like a physical live stream, like what I'm doing, showing your face. And if you are on camera, then you need to be 13 with your parents accompanying you in the video. But as far as participating in chat, I couldn't find anything. So anyways, yeah. Until further notice, um, I believe you're fine, when you're participating in chat, but um, yeah, so I just thought I would let you know. But thanks for being honest. Yeah, I know. I even looked that up as far as, your parents giving you permission and yada yada yada. It didn't really clarify um, who could and couldn't participate in a chat room conversation. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah, back to the military questions, guys. You were asking some good questions, and I think some people were learning something um, about the military, just like I did. I was naive when it came to the military before I joined, and then I started learning, such as the Navy providing medical support for the Marine Corps. If you would have asked me before, I would have thought that the Marines had their medical department, the Navy has theirs, the Army has theirs, the Air Force has theirs. Found out that's not true. The Marine Corps does not have their own medical department. They have the Navy, and they've always had the Navy. As a matter of fact, the Marines are under the command of the Navy. They don't like to admit that, but when push comes to shove, they're underneath the command of the United States Navy. The Admiral of the Navy is over the Marine Corps. Um, and remember, guys, gals, the infamous picture of Iwo Jima, the black and white picture of the Marines erecting the flag on top of Mount Siribati. I think that was Iwo Jima. Iwo Jima. All the Marines pushing the American flag up. Well, those weren't all Marines in that picture. You can YouTube that and actually see the story behind the photographer that took that picture. There was a Navy corpsman in there. Woohoo! One of those four guys, or five, however many there were, was a Navy corpsman. Let's change the subject there, Mozi. What'd you say? Have I seen a UFO? That's a off-the-cuff comment. No, I have not. That's correct. Hoorah, Selena. There are no Marine medics. All United States Navy. It's pretty cool because we get to wear their uniform, at least their working uniform. Uh, Desert cami, in this case. But you know what I did, guys? I decided to go regular format, the 16 by 9 format, and come live. I don't know if you got the notification, but um, yeah, you guys weren't populating the chat room, and I thought, you know what, I need to go vertical. And so I ended the live after like 5 minutes, and I did this. And as soon as I did this, the room flooded with you guys and gals. Thank you for stopping. So Selena, I think you're a girl because you're Selena girl. Where are you? You're not in Salina. I'm going to pronounce it correctly. Salina, Kansas, are you? How did I know that? I'll tell you in a minute if that's actually where you're from or where you're at. And Motsi, did you already um wow, what a small world, huh? Well, how I know that is because my mother is married to a man from there. And they travel back to Kansas on a I don't know, yearly basis in their motorhome to go visit his family. Wow, I know how old you are now, but shh, we won't say. I was born in '62, by the way. So now you know how old I am. Birthday in August, and I'll be the same age as my year that I was born. Um, yeah, Motsi, where are you from? I got Scotland already. That was who was that? Sorry, that was the one with the Scottish last name. MK, you still there, brother? Wait, MK, you're a guy, I think. It was Ganja King. No, Ganja King. This dude parties with his socks on. You know, funny you say that because I am wearing my socks right now. Angela's in America. Who was it? Uh, Austin, I didn't see you. What was the scariest moment in Iraq, if I can ask? Okay, I just scrolled back. Hold on, let me post that. What was the scariest moment in Iraq? I'll tell you in a moment. I'm gonna post your or paste your comment here. Oh wait, Saint 3VG. Greetings from Germany. Ah, sorry I um God is good for the United States military. And thank you for finding me. Oh, there he is. Audrey Vaughn from Edinburgh. Edinburgh. Anyways, what was my scariest moment in Iraq? Um, hold on, I'm gonna keep scrolling here. Kansas City, Kansas. Um, wait, Kansas City, yeah, Kansas City, Kansas. Well, from the beginning, when I found out I was going to the most heavily mortared and rocketed base in the theater at the time, it was July, August of 2004 when I arrived in Iraq. Well, I was actually deployed in May 2004. Well, when I first met the battalion that I was being mobilized with, the 123 Marines out of Houston, Texas, and they literally interviewed me in at 29 Palms Marine Corps Base in California because I was a reservist. I was a Navy reservist assigned to a Marine Corps unit. And they told me after I introduced myself and they introduced themselves, there was like 12 of them, uh, everybody from commissioned officers to senior enlisted officers. They told me where we were going, and they didn't hold any punches. They said, we're going to a forward operating base called FOB Heat, pronounced H, sorry, spelled H-I-T, pronounced heat. And it was, at the time, the most heavily mortared and rocketed base in the theater. And they're telling me, that's where we're going. That's where I'm going. And the fear started there because, I'd never number one, although I was trained to function with the Marines, I was never assigned permanently to a Marine Corps unit. They call that green side. If you're assigned to the Navy, a Navy unit, you're blue side. So I was blue side all of my reserve years, at least up to that point. And then I was being assigned to being transferred to green side, and not only green side, but during war. So the fear started there. And then, that worry, unknown, what the heck am I going to experience? It was just nervousness, that uncontrolled nervousness of not knowing anything about what they were telling me. I'm stuttering. I wasn't assigned green side, so I didn't get to play with the Marine Corps, on a regular basis. And I say that because they practice. That's what the military does. They practice for being deployed, whether it's peacetime or wartime. So they practice with speaking of MOS, they practice with what they are trained in. So if you're a sniper, they train sniping. If you're a machine gunner, they train with a machine gun. If they construct and they're part of the construction battalion, they build stuff. If they're part of the motor transportation division, they fix motor vehicles. You get it? So if you're a corpsman, I practice medicine on people. And wherever there's people, there's a need for medicine. Whether it's a football game, wartime, a dragster event, a drag race, there's always an ambulance on scene to, wherever there's people. If you're at a zoo, they have first aid stations. If you have a ship, you have the medical department on the ship, etc. So I was never assigned to the Marines, so I never got to see what they did and hear and experience their weapons. They got mortarmen. Yeah, they still have CBs. That's the construction battalion. Salina overheard me say construction battalion. I was referring to the CBs in the Navy. And she spelled it, the SEABEES, because their symbol or their mascot is actually a bumblebee. But it's not referring to an actual bee. It's referring to the letter C and the letter B, construction battalion, CB. So you get that connection? I didn't know that either until I joined the military. So, but thank you for catching that. I'm going to call you Selena because that's more of a girl name. So anyways, the Marine Corps, they get to practice with their 60 and 80 millimeter mortars. Sandy, you're back. No, don't go. Stay here. Or start snoring and leave your phone on staring at your face. So your name will stay in my chat and I'll get watch hour credit for you staying in my chat room. Sound like an idea? Anyways, so you see where I'm going with that? If I was assigned to the Marine Corps, on a permanent basis, and that was my unit, I'd get to go out in the field with the guys, and I'd get to watch them shoot their, 155 cannons and their tanks, their M1, Bradley tanks. Oh, wait, are they Bradley? M1A1 Abram, the Abram tank. And I would hear, what a 60 millimeter mortar sounds like, an 80 millimeter mortar, and all of the above. But I didn't get to do that. Hey, girl. Sup, girl. So my introduction to the Marines was Iraq. I mean, the whole picture. The 60 millimeter mortars, the 80 millimeter mortars, the rockets, the I'm stuttering again. The tanks, the vehicles, the 7-ton trucks, the track vehicles, and all of that. I got to see and hear and experience that for the very first time in Iraq. So back to the fear factor. It started at the very beginning. And then when I got there, um, it was relatively quiet, extremely hot, 113 degrees. Um, but what I didn't realize, we were at the end of the summer. We're going to call it the summer, and it was going to go into, I think, their springtime, and the weather did cool off dramatically. But scariest moment in Iraq was when we started receiving mortars and rockets, and that whole that whole experience. I mean, how can you, unless you've experienced it before, understand what it's going to be like when a 60 millimeter mortar or 80 millimeter mortar lands up to a half a mile away from your base. Think about that. That sounds like a long ways away, right? Half a mile? That's okay, Sandy. Thank you, though, for coming in and saying hi. Bye, dear. Um, but it's there's really no comparison. I can't really even compare it to anything. There's nothing that makes your body respond like a mortar does when it hits the ground, even an eighth of a mile away. And the barometric change in the air, and the air pressure wave that it creates, and what it does to a building, what it does to a window, what it does to a door, how it actually physically picks up dust and dirt and blows it into your space, and what it does to your body. It flattens you. It puts you on your face, and you don't even know how you got there. It's just, if you were to ask me, to actually describe what it was like, when that hit us or hit our building, I wouldn't be able to tell you, because I don't remember even how I got from a standing position to in a prone position. Prone is on my face, on my stomach. And everybody around you is on the floor with you, and you're looking at each other, and then afterwards talking about it and wondering, how did we get on our faces like that? And everyone's just like shaking their head, with a deer in the headlight look. Um, and I don't wish that on anybody, but the only way to explain it is to experience it. And you don't want to experience it. It's not a good feeling, and it's not a good place or safe place to be when you're trying to just do your job. Can you imagine being at home and mowing the lawn, or doing chores around your house, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, your whole home gets rocked by something, and your doors blow open, and the windows blast out of your frames of your windows. Thank God we didn't have windows. We were all boarded up with plywood, 3/4 inch plywood. And it's phenomenal to what it does, and that was an eighth of a mile away. Let me read Sandy's comment. She said, "Yeah, I know CBs. I had an uncle artilleryman who spent his time. That's right. And he had arms like Popeye. I love it. Yep. Wow, it's ironic you happen to say sandbags and shells. I got a personal story about sandbags, and somebody asked me to share a story, and I'll have to tell you my sandbag story. And it wasn't something I'm proud of. But, it happened to me, so I got to talk about it. Yeah, sandbags are heavy, by the way. uh, but okay, so that'll go right into uh, my sandbag story. I told it um, my last live stream, but I got in trouble, Selena, at the very beginning of Iraq. We had just arrived at our FOB, our forward operating base, FOB Heat, and the other battalion was going home, and there we were, taking their place. And we were getting assigned, we were getting used to, where we were going to be sleeping, or if we were going to be going out in the field with the platoons or whatever. And I was being assigned to the FOB at the BAS, or the Battle Aid Station, or the emergency room, as if you want to call it something that you've heard of before. A very primitive emergency room. Inside of a building. It had a lower deck and an upper deck. And don't even know what the building was. It was an Iraqi building. To this day, I don't know what that building was for. We speculated it was either for medical or apartment. We couldn't figure it out. So, but just to describe, for example, maybe somebody in chat will understand, or maybe wasn't there one person from Pakistan that was in here, or Afghanistan? Anyways, but imagine walking into a room, a standard looking room, with a doorway, and then right smack in the middle of, everything's cement. It's not stucco or like we're used to here. The rooms, the floors, the walls, the ceilings, it's all cement, hard concrete. And in the middle of the room, like part of the flooring, as the flooring is poured, right in the middle of the room is a table. And it looks like the cement is just all of a sudden went vertical, and then there is a tabletop, and it's about the height of a standard table. But there's no room underneath. It looks like an island, like a kitchen island. But there's no place for seats around it because there's no place for your legs underneath. It's just a solid hunk of concrete. Like part of the flooring. The floor all of a sudden just becomes this rectangular hunk of cement in the middle of the room. And every room had one of these. And we were always trying to figure out, what is this for? Is this for a body to lay on top of? We thought maybe it was medical. Maybe it was a morgue or something. I don't know. But it had this vertical piece of cement, a rectangular piece of cement in the middle of the room. So you can picture, that was our room. But we just used that table surface as a storage, or like a shelf or something. And we usually slept on cots, or if you were spoiled, some of the rooms had actual springs, bed frames with springs and a mattress. And yes, I happen to have one of those, so we were spoiled. Otherwise, you're sleeping on like a medical cot, the actual canvas cot. And that was also our examination tables for the BAS, the Battle Aid Station. I'd imagine I was 2 blocks away from a house that blew up. When I was telling that story about mortars, I was thinking of a video online of that house that blew up due to a gas leak or whatever. Yeah, the ground shook violently. And McDonald's Coke in my hand, but nowhere inside. There you go. Well, if you experience, that, then that's exactly what it's like. It's like you have bits of details of what you were doing before, but as far as actually remembering the going down to the ground, no, you have no clue. You'd have to have a camera in the corner of the room to video to show, what your body did to get there. Yeah, I have. Let me continue with my story because this goes into a pretty an after action um, part of the story that happened when I got home related to that. So yeah, that was an ongoing occurrence during my 7-month deployment. Was we got mortared and rocketed. We actually kept count on a dry erase board, and we had a white dry erase board, a small one in the BAS, and we used it mostly for checking in and checking out whenever we left and we were going somewhere. For accountability purposes, we put actually the one guy developed a calendar, and on each day, we could um, put where we were going, at the time we left, and the time we got back. Um, so we got mortared 101. We received 101 mortars, 50 rockets, um, various small arms from wherever it came from, and then one VBIED, vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. They had a vehicle blow itself up out at the front gate, which is about an eighth of a mile outside down the road, out at the entrance to the fob by the highway actually. And that was tremendous. It was 2 weeks before we were going home, and the oncoming battalion, I think they were 2-5, 2nd Marine, 5th Battalion, out of Ohio, were relieving us. And I had a corpsman that was shadowing me. I was taking him around, showing him my routine, what I did in the morning, what my assignments, what my responsibilities were, and so on. And so I decided, well, hey, let's go over to the computer room. They had a room for us when we were available to use laptops and landline telephones called long distance back home, where we actually got virtual long distance cards online through AT&T for 3 cents a minute, and we could call home. Well, that was called the MWR room, the Marine Welfare and Recreation room. And so I said, well, here, let me take you over to the MWR room, and I'll show you how to log into the computers and check in and get a phone card. Get one for you. And you put like $30 on a virtual card on your credit card, and then $30 lasted, gosh, 3 months, because there was nowhere to spend any money while you're on base. So at least not often. That's another story. So anyways, we're in the MWR room, and I'm at the laptop, and he's sitting right next to me, and I'm showing him how to log in and, going through the motions, and out of the blue, it always is that way. And let's do a rocket. Rockets whistle. They actually give you about a second of, oh my gosh, the rocket, boom, and then it's, you can talk about it afterward and say, well, I know that was a rocket because I heard it whistle. And it does that over your head. Anyways, but mortars are silent. usually you can hear a mortar launch, and then it's just everyone's silent and waiting. That's fear. You have no idea. You can hear it launch, and you get used to what kind of mortar it was by the tone. The 60 millimeter mortars left a higher tone, and the 80 millimeter mortars were a much lower whoomph sound. So it's kind of scary when you can say, oh, that was a 60 millimeter mortar. Oh, that was an 80 millimeter mortar. But the vehicle IED detonated out at the gate, and that was tremendous, beyond anything, beyond anything. And that rocked the world. I almost have like a faint memory of somehow seeing the plywood, and there was 3/4 inch plywood, the plywood bow in on the building before we ended up on our faces. The whole room was filled with dirt and dust. Literally couldn't see, and it was daytime because of the dirt and dust inside the room. And this kid from Minnesota? No, Wisconsin. Navy corpsman. He's like 20, 30 years old, at my side, was on the floor with me, and that was his introduction to Iraq. I remember saying to him, "Welcome to Iraq." And he, fear of God in his eyes, like deer in the headlight. And it was like, I hate to say it, but welcome to FOB heat. And it got worse for that battalion. And I'll mention maybe a bit later, but what happened to their battalion, it was quite tragic compared to what we went through. So, but and then there was one occasion, like I said earlier, most of the mortars and rockets, the point of origin, we actually had technology. The Army left high-speed technology on the rooftops for us to utilize. And I got educated on this, over time. And they actually could triangulate where the point of origin was, where the launch came from, just based on the sound. These devices on the rooftops could hear, from a certain direction. And then they would take those I think there was 3 devices on the roof, on the building tops, and they would triangulate from, each of those devices where the launch was. And apparently they were accurate up to like 30 feet or 30 to 50 feet circle of where the launch came from. So what they would do, they would get coordinates, like real close coordinates, to where that launch came from. And they would immediately send out what they call a QRF, or a quick response force group of vehicles and guys, and go right to that point of origin to hopefully intercept them and, and eliminate or whatever they needed to do to them. But again, they're usually a distance away, if not miles away. And by the time they get there, there's nobody there. They were launching from the back of vehicles, like the back of a Toyota or the back of a Datsun. They would have a mortar, whether it was an actual mortar tube or a primitive homemade one. They would launch it out of the back of a vehicle, and then they'd leave. So by the time the QRF got there, they were gone, and there was usually, or very little to go by. So they're just playing games and harassing us. and their accuracy was horrible. That's probably a good thing. And we found out even with an AK or an M16 in their hand, they were pretty inaccurate as well. So, but that was just due to lack of training, and they didn't have the technology we had. But they had some pretty ingenious ways of lining up, their trajectories and their aim. For instance, I was told they would get one person at that point A location, for instance, maybe a mile away from the base, and they would get in a vehicle, and they would either do it during the day or at night. And that vehicle a mile away would have his headlights on. And they get another person, and they're communicating via cell phones. They'd have another vehicle a mile away, approximately lined up with where that other vehicle was, behind the base. So you got one vehicle in front of the base, or on that side of the base, and then another vehicle behind the opposite side of the base. And they would turn their headlights on, and they would flash them, and they're communicating. They're saying, "Is that you?" And they're like, "Yeah, flash me twice." And they had flashed twice or whatever. They'd communicate that way. And they're like, "Yeah, I see you. And the guy would say, "Okay, the base is about a mile between me and you." And they're like, "Okay, copy." So they would launch a mortar for effect, and the guy in the distance behind him would say, "How close was I?" And they're like, "No, you need to shorten your range and a little bit more to the left." So they'd fire another one, and they would walk them in that way. And that's what they were doing to hit us. But they still weren't directly hitting us, and most of the time the mortars were an eighth to a quarter of a mile off. But even so, an 80 millimeter mortar landing a quarter mile away, devastating. I mean, it was crazy. Can you imagine one actually hitting what they're aiming at? Yeah, that's the same expression you could call it. That's what they were doing. And so, when I heard that, I thought, oh, that's pretty ingenious. That's pretty simple. You don't need the high speed, satellite in the sky, and you just do what you got to do with what you have. And so, yeah, that was the beginning. That was the very beginning of my deployment. That first unknowing fear, and I experienced acid reflux like I never. As a matter of fact, I'd only heard about acid reflux, and I've never experienced it personally before that. Maybe my mom and my dad talked about it, or the TV commercial did, or something. But even in the medical field, I don't deal with acid reflux out in the field as a paramedic. I was a civilian paramedic, by the way. Maybe I didn't tell that part yet, but I brought my civilian paramedic license into the military, and that's how I got into the military at 37 years old. So I wasn't a young 18, 20-year-old. I was 37 with life experience. I was a dad with children already, and a civilian paramedic. So anyways, yeah, acid reflux was horrendous for 2 months. For the first 2 months, it was crazy. I didn't know what else to do. We were chewing like candy on Tums. That was what was recommended by the senior corpsman, of our group. And it eventually went away just through getting used to it and the routine and getting into a routine, and yeah, it just became the norm, and it didn't bother you. It took 2 months though, and that was the longest 2 months. I went to sleep with it. I remember it was horrible. Just, going to bed with that worry, and the worry doesn't go away, and you're tossing and turning, and you got your eyes open all the time, trying to, wondering if you're going to hear a loud explosion or the room rock and okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Um, the Xbox, I'm using the Xbox to do this live stream, and this thing goes to sleep like every 10 minutes. So the little light will go off, and I lose my microphone. So speaking of, let me hide this cord here. Oh, dairy does great with heartburn. Oh, milk. Yeah. Well, we did have electricity. See, one thing leads to another story. We did have a big generator. When it was working, we did have electricity, and we did have AC in our windows, but those things were hit and miss. They froze up a lot, and we'd always have to have them. We learned how to maintenance them on our own, and or get somebody in there to do it for us. But we had this big Caterpillar um, tractor engine that was on the ground in the back of the base that was going 24/7 when it was operating. We did have to have it maintenance, and it would break down every once in a while. We'd have guys come in and maintenance it. Speaking of, we have civilian contractors. We had one guy from Australia and another guy from Boston, Massachusetts. No, he was a police officer from the Bronx, New York, that were contracted to provide maintenance for our tractor, or our generator, and they were getting paid like $200,000 a year for two year contract. 200 something thousand each. I was like, whoa, that's a good gig right there. Dangerous, but you want to make some money? Go to work during wartime. So, yeah, we did have electricity, and the uh, when it was working. What was I getting at? Talking about the electricity and the generator operating. What was it? Help me out. What was I? Oh, Selina, you said throat burnt. Throat burnt. Help me out. What was that in reference to, Selena? Oh, I was saying dairy. I read your comments, Swordfish. By the way, thanks for coming back. Um, yeah, we did have a refrigeration. That's where I was going with that, with the electricity, and we did have a refrigerator. Um, but we did have one point where the uh, refrigeration, the electricity went out, and everything in the cooler was going to go bad, and we needed to use it ASAP, i.e., the meat that they had. And so we had a big camp out. Mosne Dianio, I saw you last time. Um, and we had a big barbecue for a couple of days, barbecuing up all the meat and having carne asada. Remember the guys from Houston, Texas, the 123 Marines from Houston, Texas, had a large population of Hispanic kids, and so everybody knew how to barbecue. And so They actually had barbecues, about five of them. They fired up the grills outside and started making carne asada. And they had tortillas, homemade corn tortillas shipped in from Houston, Texas to Iraq. And we had this big Mexican barbecue. It was awesome. They had corn, bell peppers, potatoes, carne asada, corn tortillas, the works. Oh man, we were spoiled. 2 days trying to grill up the meat before it went bad. And then they would get the generator back up and running, and then we'd have refrigeration again. So we didn't have milk. I don't remember. Let me think. We had sodas, small cans of Coke and 7-Up, orange, uh, and we were able to keep those cold, like in a little refrigerator we kept in the BAS. Yeah, everything worked on 220 over there, so they had those inverters or converters to run the 120 stuff. What are you commenting on? Mossy, flown like flown. Magnificence encrypted flying zone. Swordfish, where are you? Maybe I asked you that before. And how about Selena? What was throat burn referring to? Sorry. Moolah. Anyways, God, I'm just talking away. What else, guys? What else? As far as another uh, instance where I was in fear. Oh my gosh. There was one patrol through the city of Heat that we were on. I was assigned as one of the corpsmen with Charlie platoon. They had Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie, three platoons, go out into the city of Heat, and we were there to just walk and observe. And it was common that you would go out to do your job and not really know why you were there. You just know that we were going from point A to point B. It was going to take this long, and we were going to provide medical support, whenever, wherever we were. But we were there to, they did take some pictures and gather information and show our presence through the city of Heat. And there was one instance where we heard in the distance something happening, gunfire, an explosion, and everyone's stopping and taking a knee, and the radios are all lighting up on, those that are carrying headsets and radios. And I'm usually assigned with the sergeant of the platoon and the radio guy, and Doc was the third person. So I would hear, the sergeants or the radio guy's headset, starting to the activity picking up, and then I'd get word what happened, and apparently somebody was taking some incoming at another platoon, and it was in the morning still before sunrise, so we were still in the dark per se, and we were just walking, listening and waiting, getting word, from what was happening in the at the other platoon, and all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, it was almost like an explosion, but it wasn't an explosion. We found out shortly thereafter. It was just a loud screaming,
deafening roar come over our head, and it put us on our faces. And I looked up and I saw what turned out to be an F-15, a Marine Corps F-15, scream over us, super low level, and he elevated and climbed up into the sky, and the orange whatever that is called, is coming off the tail of the plane, and it was wild. It was the greatest light show, but it's just out of the blue. It's like being at an air show and having some jet come from behind faster than the speed of sound, and so you never hear him coming until after he passes you. That definitely put the fear of God in us, not knowing what the heck that was until after the fact. But it was pretty cool when everything was said and done. And apparently it was one of the explosions was an Abrams tank, hitting an IED, and then the small arms that we heard was we were told after the fact. The platoon, another platoon, encountered a vehicle that wouldn't stop and was coming at them, and so they opened up with their M240 Golf machine gun and at the vehicle, and apparently the vehicle did stop and turned around and got out of there. So as far as why the vehicle was coming at them, who knows? And that was kind of the start of things to come after that. Yeah, they didn't. The Iraqis didn't have any jets flying. We had taken care of that. Apparently, we got word. We put their Air Force and to rest before we even got there. So the only people flying aircraft was the United States military at out of Al Assad base there when I was there. And it was identifiable. You could see the flared wing, tail wings, on the aircraft, and so. It's pretty cool. Mula, where are you from, you guys? Creed. Show of force, Creed. More than likely, they called in air support and came in, and that alone, as you know, it put us to our faces. Can you imagine what it does to anybody else that's in the area? Holy moly! I had a Iraqi interpreter. We had two Iraqi interpreters working with us, Ali and Safwan. And speaking of whether or not I know it was friendly, Safwan was an ex-Iraqi Air Force pilot, and he was working for us as an interpreter. Are you guys talking to each other? Chicago, Black American Independent Chicago, and some other comments that were kind of, Magnificent Encrypted Flying Zone, MEF zone, talking about the Marine Corps. I didn't get that before, but now that I read it. Anyway, are you still there, Selena? Swordfish? Who else? I think Girl in the Mirror is still in the background. How are you, girl? ¿Cómo está? Mustakana. I'm sinking into my couch here. I can tell I'm getting lower and lower as I sit here. You know, maybe if I sit on a pillow, it might just improve my comfort and raise me up a bit. Let me see. Let me see what it does. Oh, oh, there we go. Yeah, it does raise me up. Maybe that'll help. So what else, guys? What else? A back brace, old man. What's up, young punk? Where are you from, Moises Pacheco? ¿Cómo estás? Oh, I think I need to stretch out. Thank you, though, for stopping, at least for a moment, Moises. Muchas gracias, amigo. ¿Dónde, México? Seriously? You're in Mexico? What part? How do you say that in Spanish? What part of Mexico? Mula. Creed. Where you guys from? Where you at? Chivas. That's a heroin. Or at least slang for heroin. Heroin. Chivas. You have to uh, explain that one. What is Chivas El Grande Mexico? Football, bro. Hey, Levi. Oh, okay, I got you. That's the name of uh, soccer team in Mexico. Oh, stay young. All right, Mullah. Thanks, brother, for participating. Hey, don't forget to subscribe so you'll see me pop in the next time. And hit the thumbs up. Come on in, guys. Thank you for hanging out and watching, at least, even for a short time. Levi, Tolstoy, Moises, Pacheco, Mullah, good night. Who else? Who else? Mosne, Dianio, Swordfish, Selena, where'd you go? Girl in the Mirror. Let's see. What else did I miss? Some great comments, by the way. Sandy, I know she had to go. No problem. Let's see, great. Let's pick up the pace. I'm going to change the tempo here. There we go. Da, da. I'm an hour and 23 minutes in. Looks like we got 2 people still hanging out, 3 people in the background. Come on back in, guys. Let's chit chat. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, 6 people. Come on in. Come on, guys. Stop scrolling. Question and answer time. Story time. Whatever you want to do. You want to hear an emergency medicine story, or ask me anything. Ask me questions. I'll try to answer it for you. Come on in, guys. Stop. Don't go. Five people in the house. Lamar Spellman. Oh, looks like I had to kick him out. Wait. No, it wasn't Lamar. It was Casbah. Oh, what about S or the S's? Anybody there? Girl, are you still there? Girl, come here. You know, I wonder if I. Oh, there you are. You're listening. I wonder if I have my uh, live chat selected. I don't have a gadget in my hand, but I noticed some people were mentioning names that were not in the chat. I'm wondering. I wonder if I have. Oh my God, I'm back. You know what? I got log shut down. My TV actually went black, and I had to log on. I lost all of my tabs. I had to completely start over again. Well, except for this live stream, still uh, maintained. Unbelievable. I can't believe it. I had nothing anymore. Crazy. Only on YouTube, right? Okay. Back in back in action. Well, you're still here. There's three people apparently in the background. Yeah, I lost everything. All of my tabs closed completely black. It kicked me all the way out. No more StreamYard, no more YouTube, nothing. So I had to log back into StreamYard. I had to put in my login, my password. I had to find this live stream, re-enter the studio. Oh my goodness. Oh, look, my background. What happened to my ambulance here? Put the ambulance back in the background. What do you think, girl? Should I put the ambulance back, or should I just keep this background with the plant and the light and the picture? Although this this vertical live, you can barely see my background, or the ambulance. What do you think? Lights, camera, action. This one kind of takes my hat away a little bit. Let me see if I can focus a little bit better. There we go. Up to you, Doc. I'm asking for advice. What looks good? The ambulance? Or my light? No background is okay? Okay. Let me take it off. There we go. How's that? There you go. Now you got Moab wall.
My microphone is back. Sorry about that. I gotta change my battery. Stand by. Gosh, first the internet goes black, and now my camera went black. Okay, let me get the battery. Let me change the battery here. Wait long. Battery long. Oh wait, battery's over here. It's in the charger. It's nice and fresh, 100% battery. All right, let's change the battery, and we'll be back in action. Bahalaka John. Too funny, too funny. How do you say that in Tagalog? Too funny. Or is there an expression for? Or in Bisaya, how do you say? That's funny. Or Bahalaka John. Moto Light battery? No. This is a digital single lens reflex battery. I just use Panasonic. That's the brand of the camera. And the other brand, this is a Chinese, made in China. It's made by, let's see here, for Panasonic. It's called Pro Master from China. But it's a little square battery. But I'll see if they have a equivalent, what do you call it? Nakakatuwaka is what? That means it's funny? You're funny? Oh, Motolite. Okay, I'll look for Motolite. See what they make in this style of battery. Okay, I think I'm back here. Hold on. See if I can line up my camera. Ah, there I am without focus here. There we go. Nope. Is that better? A truck battery? What? What? Sana all truck battery. Too funny. Okay, what am I doing? Standard definition. No. 720. That's probably the problem. And there we go. Oh, I gotta line it up a bit. Get my... This plant right here is doing so good. It is going crazy. Do you see the flower that's blooming at the top there? It's starting to try to bloom. Oh, you can barely see it, but right there, the pink flower. It is doing so good. It looks like you have a momo. Where? Which momo? Up here? Which one? What looks like a momo? Oh, I gotta zoom in just a bit. Oh, now the focus went out. There we go. Hey, I think I'm gonna end the live and stand by. Naintindihan mo ako? What background? Oh, you look like... Oh, I look like a momo if I have background. I gotcha. Hey, I'll be back momentarily. Wait long.